Thanks for joining me. I'm Darenisha Heron, joined by Serena Dyer, the daughter of the great guru of motivation, Wayne Dyer. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I know you're actually in the city of Austin. Have you been able to stop at any of our cool local spots out here since you've been here?
Not yet. I'm at the Barton Creek Hotel, and it's gorgeous. But when I got in yesterday, it started like storming so badly I didn't get a chance to leave. But I am going downtown tonight, so I'm excited to check it out and see why Austin's weird.
No, you really will have a great time, but our weather has not been favorable, and it won't be for the next couple of days, unfortunately. Usually,
That's okay.
It's like California type weather. Usually.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Florida, so anything is better than that heat and humidity we have there. So
I love it. And so we're doing this interview because your new book, The Knowing, it's out. I know you and your sister have been working on this book for years. How does it feel that it's finally out, and how has the response been?
I'm thrilled that it's finally out, not just because I'm excited to have people read it, but because it's no longer in my lap and my responsibility. But the response has been phenomenal. The response has been deeply touching. So many people have begun reaching out after reading our book to talk about either how our dad influenced their lives or how they now are connecting with their own inner knowing, their own inner compass. Even more so, I've had people reach out to say that after reading our book, for the first time, they started to contemplate that maybe their loved ones that have passed are still with them and are still giving them signs, which I know sounds a little bit odd, but I believe it. And it seems like so many people have been having the same experience. So it's actually been a really beautiful response.
That's amazing. And so can you tell people what the book is about? I don't want to give too many details.
Yeah, the book is really about the idea that each and every one of us is born with our own inner knowing. Another way to think of it is slightly like intuition, but more like a connection to something greater than ourselves that when we pay attention to it, it never leads us astray. Sometimes I say that it's like having our own lighthouse. No matter how awful the storm becomes, no matter how dark the night is, it's still there guiding you home. And it's never going to fail you, but you have to open your eyes. You have to look for it. And for me, the book really has become it's a personal story for me, but it's also a story that is like greatly applicable to anybody because it's the idea of reconnecting to that part of ourselves no matter what is going on around us.
And this phrase, the knowing, is something that, well, from reading in the book, that your family has spoken about throughout your whole life. And so after writing the book, did your understanding of it change?
Yes, that's a great question. And the answer is yes. I don't think I understood how much I was ignoring or avoiding going in for the answers and the solutions and the guidance to whatever I was facing. I was really for a while because of so many different difficult things that took place in my life in a really short period of time. I was really looking for a solution outside of myself, whether it was when I lose weight, I'm going to, when I have the right income, I'm going to, when I am free of these difficult circumstances, then I'll be happy or joyful or peaceful, or then I'll be able to solve my problems is what I was thinking. And as I was writing the book, and even more so since it's come out, I've come to know that within me is joy and peace and happiness. And it's always there, no matter what the circumstances are around me. But I have to come from that place. I have to go within. And that the solutions are not going to come in the form of, a bottle of wine or a new relationship or a certain amount of money in our bank accounts. They're going to come from connecting to the part of us that is there, that is guiding us, that is bigger than ourselves. And the more I have written about it, talked about it, connected to it, the greater my understanding of it has become.
And speaking of that, like you grew up with talking about the knowing, talking about following your intuition. Do you feel like your father's work had a greater impact on you before or after his passing?
After, for sure. Because growing up with him, he was my dad, and I did not, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I didn't read his books. I loved that he did this work because he loved this work. And so, I loved supporting him and seeing him excited. But honestly, before he passed away, I didn't have a need. I didn't have a struggle. I didn't have wasn't looking. I wasn't looking for a greater connection to something bigger than myself. And after he passed away, that was when so many things in my life kind of fell apart all at once. And then I started to look at his work and to apply it and learn it and understand it for the first time. And I wished he was just a phone call away so I could talk to him about what I had just read. But I know that he is still here. And even though he might not be a phone call away, he's just a thought away. All of our loved ones are.
And don't feel too bad. I mean, a lot of kids, your parents tell you all of these things, and it takes you going through it and to actually have to learn what they were trying to tell you the easy way. So I think
Exactly.
so. In the book, you talk about in the book, there's a quote that says, "Become a host to miracles instead of a hostage to your circumstance." Throughout the pandemic, it seemed like a lot of people were kind of taking on this mindset. They were changing jobs, and a lot of people were looking at within themselves to just trying to find joy and happiness. Is that something that you saw taking a shift as well throughout the pandemic?
Absolutely. I think that so many of us, well, really all of us, were forced to stay home, to look at our habits, our spending, to kind of confront ourselves in a lot of ways, not just with our finances or our external circumstances, but a lot of us were facing fear over our own mortality. And I think that when that happens, especially like as a collective, like it did for COVID, I think it has really allowed people or forced people to ask themselves, what do I want to create or have or do with my life, with this one precious life? And when we're in the grind and the go, 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 and the, meetings and jobs and travel and kids and appointments, a lot of times we forget to stop and to take a minute and to just be here now. And I do think that the pandemic absolutely um, forced or encouraged people to pause.
How can people change their mindset and not be like a hostage to their circumstance? Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, I would say that for me, it is about inviting in God. And I know that the word God can be religious for some people or affiliated in a way with something that they feel no connection to. But I would say that for me, God is not anything to do with religion. God is in every single one of us, even the people that we don't like. God is still there. Um, and the more we ask God to show up in our lives, to guide us, to be with us, we become a host. We become a host to God and all of the miracles that come with that, versus always thinking that we're held hostage by our circumstances and held hostage by our ego. Our ego tells us that who we are is what we have, how we look, what other people think of us, but that's not who we are. Who we are is a perfect creation of God, connected always to not just our source, to God, but to everyone. And I think that the more we go within, the more we honor that, the more we recognize that, the stronger that connection becomes. And who wouldn't want that? That's where all the miracles lie.
Great advice. And so when I was reading the book, it was surprising to me to see the dynamic with your mother and father and how different their relationship was. So not to give too much, but your parents separated, but decided to stay married. And then, but they still, spoke on the phone every day and talked all the time. But then your mother still, found other love as well. How did that impact how you look at marriage, and does that impact your marriage as well?
Oh my gosh, yes. The way that impacted me as a young woman when that first took place, and how it has continued to influence my thinking, is that my parents had a great relationship, but then they stopped having a great relationship and they were going to get a divorce, and they were fighting, and it was stressful, really stressful and painful. And then they decided to stop all of that, all of the chaos and the fighting and the arguing and the stress, and to stay married, and to go back to the place where they were each other's friends, where they were best friends, where they could come from love instead of anger or resentment. And the decision to stay married, and they were married up until the day my dad died, even though they were not living as a married couple any longer. What that taught me as a young woman was that I don't have to live according to anybody else's terms. And I can define what works for me, for myself, always. And marriage doesn't have to be the way that our grandparents did it, or the way that, the church says that we should do it, or our pastor says that we should do it. It's something that we can decide for ourselves. All things are. We ultimately have a say. And I think to see my parents choose love and to come from that place, it helped me to understand that I could always do that as well.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
And so you have children as well, you and your sister. Well, actually, congratulations. You just got a new nephew.
Thank you. Yes. So he's like 3 days old. So yeah.
So cute. So cute. I saw the photos on social media.
Mhm.
And so are you, and I'm sure you are instilling the same teachings that your father instilled into you. And, but how are you doing that a little differently? Because, at the beginning you were saying that it didn't stick at first for you.
Yeah. I would say that the greatest thing that I learned from both of my parents really was not so much something that they said, but it was something that they did. And now I'm hoping that I am doing the same. And what they did, you see, sometimes what parents do is so loud, their children can't hear what they say. And so what my parents did was they did not sacrifice their dreams or their dharma, which is another way of saying the purpose that they came here for. My mom always said that her dharma was to be a mother, was to have children, and she did, 7 of us. And she's an incredible mother. And my father always said that his dharma was to teach and to speak and to write. And they didn't say to us kids, go out and follow your dreams, while they were simultaneously sacrificing their own. They lived their dreams, they lived their purpose, even if it meant sometimes they had to miss our fifth basketball game of the year, or a school event or something. That would be the case for my dad. My mom never missed anything because she was such a full-time mom. But I think that seeing him go out in the world and do what he felt called to do, no matter what, on some subconscious level, it gave me permission to do the same. And so now here I am in Austin, away from my 3 little kids. And I don't like having to be away from them, but I really like doing what I feel called to do and letting my children see that, so that when I encourage them to follow their dreams, I will have demonstrated that I saw enough value in myself to do the same. And I hope that that means something to them. I hope that becomes the driving factor for their life path as well.
Yeah, you're setting a great example. And do you have more plans to write more books? Do you plan to start doing speeches and following more into his footsteps?
I am definitely hoping, and yes, I would say, yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I never thought when I was younger that I would have ever done anything like what my dad did, but I always liked telling stories. And I always liked writing and speaking. And I have no shyness about getting on stage. And so I guess I was kind of born to do something similar. And so yeah, I am doing that. I hope to continue doing that. And it's really exciting. And younger me would have been like, no way am I doing that. I thought I was going to be like a CIA agent or something.
That's beautiful. Is there anything else you want to add?
Um, no, I think this has been great to talk to you and to get to share this with you.
Where can people find the book and where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so the book is at Barnes and Noble, Amazon. It's on Audible. My sister and I recorded it actually ourselves. Um, it's on Kindle, and on social media, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Just type in my name, Serena Dyer or Serena Dyer Pisoni, and you'll find me. I'm there, and I always respond to everybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Serena Dyer, for joining me. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, thank you so much, dear Nisha. It was so nice to be here with you.